When did all this start, Daniel?
Welcome to Ms. Mojo, and today we're discussing how Velma has been portrayed over the years.
Do you like solving mysteries?
Yeah, but I'm actually much more three-dimensional than that.
For this video, we'll be looking at the beloved and bespectacled mystery solver's evolution since her character first came about in 1969. We'll be focusing on both animated and live-action media, but we won't count video games or comic books. Do you have a favorite Velma? Are you excited for the new show? Let us know in the comments. Velma Jinkies Dinkley. In September 1969, CBS and Hanna-Barbera aired what would become an iconic television show spanning decades of sequels, prequels, and reboots. Created by Joe Ruby and Ken Spears, Scooby-Doo Where Are You followed the spooky adventures of 4 teenagers and one food-loving, talking Great Dane.
What's an empty old suit of armor doing in the driver's seat of this pickup? Maybe he went out for the night. Get it?
Inspiration was taken from the sitcom The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis, with the gang led by the Dobie Gillis-like all-American boy Fred Jones. The beautiful Daphne Blake had similar attributes and interests as Dobie's crush Thalia Menninger, and hippie goofball Norval Shaggy Rogers was inspired by beatnik sidekick Maynard G. Krebs.
What's that on your chin? Can't you tell, man? It's like a beard.
Shaggy's best bud Scooby-Doo was, of course, an original character. And then there was Velma Dinkley, the smartest of the bunch, much like brainy brunette Zelda Gilroy.
Zelda, you wouldn't. Wouldn't I? You couldn't. Couldn't I? You could. You bet I could, and I will.
Dressed in an orange turtleneck sweater, a red A-line skirt, orange knee socks, and Mary Janes, Velma was the opposite of the fashionable Daphne. Her thick black-rimmed glasses and bullish bob visibly defined her as a nerd with no time for appearances because she was too busy being a brainiac.
I guess it's up to you, Velma.
It's up to all of us. Now march!
While Daphne was repeatedly getting captured, Velma was leading the investigations. She was often the first to solve the mystery, unmask the villains, and explain in detail their master plans. Velma was also sarcastic, very opinionated, and, well, a bit of a know-it-all.
And everybody knows when dry ice mixes with water, it makes a real spooky fog.
Calling pop culture superfans everywhere. Do you love to argue with WatchMojo's top 10 ranks? Introducing WatchMojo's first and very own party game. Bring your superpowers to the table and fight for your pick to be at the top of the list. It's all the fun of the comment section, but in real life. With each incarnation, the character of Velma changes a bit, particularly when it comes to voice and attitude. Nicole Jeff was the first Velma Dinkley and is widely considered the essential voice of the character.
Just think, Scooby, no ghostly voice will get past your keen sense of hearing.
She even happened to resemble the drawing a little, and is credited with ad-libbing Velma's well-known expression Jinkies. The actress also unintentionally coined her other signature phrase.
My glasses! I can't see without my glasses!
Jeff voiced Velma from 1969 to 1973, ending her tenure with the new Scooby-Doo movies, though she made a brief return in 2003 for 2 animated direct-to-videos.
This guidebook says Sydney has the best restaurants in the entire southern hemisphere.
Pat Stevens stepped into the role subsequently for the Scooby-Doo Dino-Mutt Hour, and the first 11 episodes of Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo.
They shot most of that picture around that old shack in the swamp. Let's check it out.
Marla Frumpkin took over for Stevens soon after, and would go on to voice the character in a new, restored version of the previous show. While Jeff and Stevens gave Velma a similar twang, Frumpkin was noticeably different with a more mature-sounding tone.
Hold it, guys. Isn't it any way for a couple of red-blooded Americans to talk?
From 1988 to 1991, young Christina Lang voiced a more soft-spoken Velma in A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, which followed the gang as younger kids.
Aha!
Velma spoke. She said, aha!
She must have an idea.
The amateur sleuth was back to a version of her old self when BJ Ward played her in the 1990s, starting with crossover episodes of Johnny Bravo. She was oddly flirty and even had a fling with the titular Bravo.
Don't worry, I don't bite.
In 1998, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island established Velma as a major skeptic when it came to anything supernatural. Ward also appeared in the controversial The Scooby-Doo Project in 1999, before going on to a string of direct-to-video movies throughout the early 2000s.
You're the characters in Eric's video game, and you're from the real world. Jeez!
Velma live and in action. Mystery Inc. made their live-action debut in 2002's Scooby-Doo, written by James Gunn. Linda Cardellini delivered a spot-on portrayal of Velma, embodying the character's distinct voice, mannerisms, and physicality, all while having her be just a little more assertive than her animated predecessors.
Nice mask. Bad breath.
In the film, she decides to quit the gang because she's tired of being the primary case solver who receives the least credit. When they reunite, it turns out she'd been putting her genius to good use working at, literally, NASA.
Developing hydro-powered missile defense systems. But more importantly, I'm on a journey of self-discovery.
Her characterization would take a bit of a turn in the 2004 sequel Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. She became strangely nervous and far less confident when it came to her love interest, Patrick Wisely.
He's the curator here at the museum. It's very nice to meet you, Patrick. I hope you'll be working closely with our Velma on this ever-expanding exhibit.
While it was kind of endearing to see her so flustered, we also have to admit we missed her trademark sweater and skirt combo, which she temporarily swapped out for a tight red jumpsuit and heels. Unfortunately, this wasn't the last time we'd see Velma acting differently around a guy.
You are as beautiful as ever. You're just so different than I expected.
A modern Velma. In 2002, over a decade after A Pup Named Scooby-Doo ended, a modernized Scooby and the Gang returned in What's New Scooby-Doo, with Facts of Life alum Mindy Cohn in the role of Velma.
Hands at 10 and 2. Check. Mirrors. Check. 3. Everywhere.
The series gave each character more personality, and we learned that Velma, in this iteration, loves ice hockey and fears clowns. Still, it mostly kept with the original series format.
Isn't there something missing from that plan?
I don't think so.
Splitting up. Ring a bell? You always want to split up and look for clues.
Really?
The real departure came in 2010 with Cartoon Network's Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, which included one of the most polarizing versions of Velma, still voiced by Cohn. Appearance-wise, she wore her classic colors, but her orange turtleneck was more form-fitting, and her hair was styled with bows.
That's depressing.
Yes, it is. But what can you do? Instead of the witty genius fans came to love, however, this show saw her as snarky, controlling, and easily upset. Most of this characterization unfortunately surfaced when she was dealing with Shaggy, her secret boyfriend.
Fortunately, I think I have the perfect solution.
Nope. Like am I gonna like it?
Their relationship alone was rather bizarre, but Velma's unhinged behavior was even worse. She criticizes his clothes, speech, and eating habits, and aggressively tries to change him.
So how's it going with the prom tickets?
Prom tickets, huh? I gotta do that.
What about the limo? And my corsage? Your tux?
An argument about attending prom ends in Velma kicking over headstones in a cemetery. At one point, she even gives Shaggy an ultimatum that consists of choosing between her and Scooby.
Don't suppose you got around to deciding the Scooby versus Velma question I asked you earlier. Just wondering before we're pulverized.
Unsurprisingly, Shaggy sticks with his longtime pal, and after they call it quits in episode 10, there's some obvious tension in the group. Though her character arc would make her more likable in the end, this is definitely an installment of Velma that takes a bit of getting used to.
Roma-dama-doo!
Dial it back a smidge, Velma.
From coded to canon. It wasn't until years after Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated ended when series producer Tony Cervoni offered an explanation for Velma's out-of-character behavior in her relationship with Shaggy. In 2020, he posted on Instagram saying that she was in fact written as a lesbian. However, the higher-ups had them water things down, and her sexual orientation was ultimately left ambiguous.
Please, tell me what's going on!
V, this is no time for fooling around.
She developed an enemies-to-friends relationship with Marcy Hot Dog Water Fleech, voiced by Linda Cardellini. Season 2 ended with the implication that Velma and Marcy were an item.
I gotta tell the gang.
That's my girl. It's been long speculated that Velma was queer-coded, especially with the way she's styled to be the opposite of Daphne. not just in her appearance, but also in her interests. In other words, she was never a boy-crazy fashionista. James Gunn's script for the 2002 live-action film hinted at her sexuality, but was significantly toned down with some scenes completely cut out by the studio.
Typical. What? All nothing. I was always picked last for the teens.
Velma's inclusion in the LGBTQIA community was solidified in October of 2022 with Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo. Before its release, a clip revealed that Velma, voiced by Kate Micucci, who'd been in the role since 2015's Be Cool Scooby-Doo, would have a female love interest, criminal undercover costume designer Coco Diablo.
And as promised, here are your Scooby snacks.
It was such a momentous occasion that even Google celebrated the historical moment, with a Pride-themed Easter egg when searching the character's name. And needless to say, fans were ecstatic with Velma's long-anticipated coming out.
That was my reaction too.
All about Velma. 2022 proved to be a big year for Velma Dinkley. Not only is she now canonically lesbian, but the long underappreciated character takes the spotlight in her own self-titled HBO Max series.
Unknown caller. Spooky. Hello? Velma Dinkley speaking.
The Mindy Kaling-led Velma, slated for January 2023, sees her on a journey of self-discovery, including her sexuality. Kaling and showrunner Charlie Grandy have also stated that there's some unresolved sexual tension among the quartet of mystery solvers.
That's the mystery, and solve it quick because I'm in your house.
A serial killer calling from inside my house? Yes, that's a classic.
The Office and the Mindy Project star, who also acts as an executive producer, voices the first South Asian incarnation of the typically Caucasian character. Of course, this change in racial identity sparked plenty of backlash.
There is one thing the internet agrees on. It's that you should never change anything ever.
Other notable non-white voices for the character include half-Japanese actress and musician Hayley Kiyoko, who played Velma in 2009's live-action Scooby-Doo The Mystery Begins, and its 2010 sequel Scooby-Doo Curse of the Lake Monster.
What are you guys staring at?
It's just a disguise. Kiyoko is also a lesbian, which makes her an awesome and fitting choice. The 2020 animated feature Scoob also cast Jane the Virgin actress Gina Rodriguez, who is of Puerto Rican descent.
I'd like to shake the hand of whoever created this.
Velma Dinkley's evolution since first appearing in 1969 is a result of changes in cultural norms and studio limitations. Every new chapter brings another unique aspect to the classic character, expanding her identity and adapting her to modern times. But no matter what, one thing stays the same. She loves a good mystery.
Let's get jinky with it.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from Ms. Mojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.